Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan, Tim.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Ah, yes. Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah.
How much of your life has it sucked away from you recently?
Oh, at least 2 hours a night. Sometimes more.
I feel like you're very conservatively estimating those hours to lie about it. I'm trying to think of
how much it's been because, like, Thursday I had to plow, so I didn't go into work until, well, they said 4, but I went in at 1. But I woke up, so from 8 until about noon, and then I had to shower.
4 hours.
That. So there's 4 hours. So, yeah, 2.5, 3 hours a night since I came out of the 26th. I played an hour and a half that night. Oh, God, probably at least 30, 40 hours.
Already?
Yeah.
Has it only been out for like 2 weeks? Or
pretty
3?
Much, no, it came out October 26th, and I pre-ordered, so it got mailed to my house on the 26th. And that night, I actually expected to just play it all night long, but Miss Number One Fan was gone, Pubert had to go to a dance, and I had a prearranged call-out thing for work. And I
found yourself kneeling on the edge of the bed, staring at the box, anxious that you're going to get to play it, jacking off onto a towel.
Don't.
See, I made it new again.
No, it was message boards I had to do they were burning houses. So, but that got delayed, and then so it's like I only got to play for like an hour and a half that night, and then I didn't play it for a day, and then it was like an hour here, an hour there, and then finally. Last week, not this past one, but the week after Halloween, it's been like 2 hours a night, 3 hours a night. After everyone's in bed, I'll stay up till 11:30 playing.
Nerd! That's like me when I'm fucking around editing or with my beat maker for song stuff.
Oh, I'm still trying to edit my Airsoft videos too because I have just a shitload of footage. I probably have enough to get me through most of the winter.
I didn't just bring this up so you could brag about how much fun you're having with Red Dead Redemption 2 and how great of a game it is.
Oh, I figured it would, which is why I'm not sitting here saying how fantastic it is.
Right. It's really
fantastic.
I brought it up because
it's
Neil...
so detailed.
Jesus Christ. I brought it up because Neil brought this up to me.
What's that?
Is that people are getting their panties in a bunch because of the mistreatment of women and the negative portrayals of women in this game.
What?
Because women are seen as like property and they get beat, you know?
That was in the first Red Dead Redemption 2. Guy run off with a woman on his shoulder. There's actually less of it in this one than there is in the first one.
Well, here's the funny thing. True or false, treating women like shit was very commonplace in the Old West.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
From historical depictions of what that's been like, has the tune normally been that women are lesser than men and we treat them like shit and the only broads you see in Westerns are either damsels in distress or prostitutes in a saloon?
Yeah, well, from that angle, that's what I've always been led to believe. But
or
I don't
like
think
sexy,
that's how it actually was.
Sexy Native American women that, they're the forbidden fruit.
Yeah,
that's like option 3. So there's all these bleeding heart crybabies. These fucking snowflakes are melting. Because women are treated like shit in a video game.
I'm trying to figure out, though, like, as much gameplay that I've had, I think there's only been twice a woman's being carried off by a man, like, you're my property, and don't put me down. And I shot his ass, and then I took his money, and then I gave her a ride into town.
Don't go all fucking white knight on here. I was such a nice guy, and I gave her some money to get a good meal and told her to go to church and get a job.
Well, the one I gave her a ride in town because she asked for a ride. The other one got on the horse because he was kidnapping her horse. She got on his horse and took off. So
good for her.
But otherwise, it's like the women in your party for your camp. It seems like most of them are actually prostitutes of some kind. But not all of them.
We're all prostitutes of some kind.
Yeah, and yes, the only time you see women in the game are when you're in bars and stuff like that, the saloons, and stuff like that. Prostitutes. They charge you for the make a sexy time.
So there's people like, you shouldn't treat women so shitty in these games.
I'm sorry, it's a representation of that period of time, though.
Thank you. Hello.
Do we have to rewrite all of fucking history and pretend it didn't happen? How else are you going to learn from your mistakes?
And that's my idea for this episode is, if you go back and sanitize the past, all you're doing is lying to yourself and everybody about how great it was back then. It doesn't erase the struggles, and it actually trivializes the suffering of people that were treated like shit back then.
Yeah. It's basically saying, oh, we're not going to talk about what happened to you because it's just too unpleasant and you don't want to relive that pain. But it's going to happen again. It's the famous quote, if you don't learn lessons from history, you're doomed to repeat them.
Well, like, imagine if they tried to remake Roots, and in this one, all the slaves were friends with the fucking slavers. You know, like, instead of whipping Kunta Kinte and chopping his foot off, he invites him over to dinner because now he's a houseboy, and he gets to eat turkey with the whites.
Do you want to be Kunta Kinte or do you want to be Toby? Because I'll let you pick.
I want to be sensitive to your needs, and you select your identity. Even if you want to be gender fluid, you do whatever you want, sir. That's how it would go this fucking mindset of bleeding heart pussies and snowflakes, the PC jihadists that want to make us all sanitized and happy and not foul-mouthed or fun.
You know, it's funny because you're talking about how these people are, all upset about it. I haven't heard a lick of it.
You have to look for it on the internet, but also you are out of touch with a lot of the news, and you say yourself, I like a lot of my news coverage from being on the show.
Well, yeah,
you have said that
you bring
before.
Up some pretty obscure stuff, yeah.
Mm. Well, there's this other like Battlefield game that was coming out that people were flipping out about. We're really going for realism with this one. And there was, I guess, some chick there was a chick, for one, and I think it's a World War I game. There's a girl on the front lines, and she's got a fucking sniper rifle, and Neil described it as having a prosthetic arm that's almost more robotic than like the actual Hook-style piece of shit ones that they even have now. Mm-hmm. So how fucking realistic is that?
Not very. I mean, those games aren't meant to be 100% realistic, FYI. I think the one that came closest is Call of Duty World War II.
Yeah.
And even then, it's iffy.
Well, and then think back to when the movie Dunkirk came out.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Do you remember the public outcry or the public outrage about how there weren't enough colored leads in that movie? There was no enough color in a lead role in that movie.
Well, that's because I think even the British Army, they were segregated. The Army, the Navy, they still had segregation because this was pre the Civil Rights Act,
right?
And I mean, they were allowed to serve and all that, but they weren't made pilots except for the Tuskegee Airmen, which was kind of an experiment, from what I understand. Most blacks that served in the military in World War II, they drove trucks, they served on ships as stewards and cooks and stuff like that, basically the jobs that you would see them doing in normal everyday life. I mean, they were trained how to fire rifles and everything like that. If they were on a ship, everybody on the ship had a fighting job when it came to battle stations. But the movie was supposed to be an accurate portrayal of what happened.
The desperation of these men and what they faced.
Yeah. And, I mean, I'm sorry, but there weren't a whole lot of black soldiers in the British Army at that time.
Well, think of Band of Brothers. I can't think of any black leads on that show. There was some Italian and somewhat half Hispanic lead characters, but there was nobody black. But back in the day, the black population wasn't that large, and like you said, they had reduced roles and weren't so much on the front lines.
Yeah, they support, basically, the logistics, stuff like that.
Well, this is just
you can't PC everything if you're trying to do a historical piece. That'd be like, okay, we're gonna make a movie about
the Holocaust.
The Holocaust, but it's not Nazis; they're Ukrainians.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
I just throwing some shit out there. I actually had a better example, but I can't remember the guy's fucking name.
Okay, well, I was gonna say it'd be like making Schindler's List over again.
Okay.
And then you're rebooting it, and instead of a list of people that are saved from the death camps, it's a list of people that get free house makeovers. Like some real fucking modern, stupid HGTV, snowflakey, white problem-y bullshit. First world problems. oh my God, everybody's going to get new wallpapers in their house if they're on Mr. Schindler's List. Because you got to have a strong gay lead, but he can't be flaming gay, but he has to be like kind of funny gay, like the Will and Grace kind of gay, like the safe kind of gay, not like the Andy Dick kind of gay that's going to fucking grab your dick in a bar and then spend the next 3 weeks fucking blowing everybody that says hi to him down at county jail. Schindler's List. That's some shit like that. Like, how the fuck are you going to... Should we just not make historical dramas at all?
I think a lot of these people that are against this stuff are just... They can't face the realities, and they like to live in a dream world.
Well,
they want to pretend this stuff never happened, so let's not talk about it. We need to include everybody. Everything needs to be about inclusion. Sorry. No, it doesn't work that way. It never has worked that way. Do you think people in Iran are being inclusive to Jews?
No.
Do you think people...
Or women?
Do you think people in Japan are being inclusive to...
The Chinese?
The Chinese, say World War II period of time. They weren't very inclusive there. I mean, it just doesn't work. It's not in human nature to do that.
Yeah.
It's...
Even David Koresh was fucking mostly white children.
I'm trying so hard to do this without putting a political lean on it, but that's impossible.
Well, it is, though. It's this mindset of the uber left, these fucking PC zealots that need everything to be this magical... Like, if we force everybody to live by this untenable standard, it's going to magically change the world. You might as well just pass out medication to everybody.
These people are mental, just FYI.
Like, what was that fucking Christian Bale movie, like Equilibrium, where everybody fucking gets a drug that keeps their emotions in check? You're trying to force people to live by your standard. Maybe some of us aren't that upset that there's not a black lead main character in a movie like Dunkirk. Or I'm not that upset that, Miss Jewel is getting her backhand across the face for getting too close to my stagecoach, bitch. I was riding by. Don't you fucking look at me cross. Yeah, I don't want to fucking sit there and watch a bunch of rape scenes in a Western, but that shit happened.
Yeah, no, it did.
And if I wanted to watch rape porn, I'd just fucking Google rape porn, because it exists. It's kind of hard to get to these days.
What?
But there's rape porn. Yeah, it's fucking... She acts like it's not something she wants. And yeah, it's sick shit. I won't watch that. I'll watch vomit porn, but I won't watch rape porn. That's not cool.
Vomit porn?
Vomit porn.
Ugh.
The fucking chicks just sticking their fingers down their throats and barfing all over dudes while they're fucking or barfing onto their cocks.
It's like the German Scheisse videos. Give me a break.
Right, or like that time...
Which I've never seen. I learned that from South Park.
Right, but it's like, like Reese Hartfeld, who that one time had a drunk chick fucking gag on his cock and blow chunks in his lap, and then he had to clean up the puke in his lap, and they had a good laugh about it. These things happen in real life. Art imitates life, and pornography is art. I don't care how many times you tell me that an engineer dies after getting fucked in the ass by a horse that his friend helped him get butt railed by. You tell me that's not art? That's fucking art, man. That's art that teaches you shit.
Yeah, don't let a horse put his dick in your butt.
And to steal a joke from, I think it's Chris Hardwick, like, you're an engineer. Your job is to figure out what things fit together. And you didn't think something was amiss at the size of that cock going into your rectum? He fucking died.
Maybe he watched that video I watched so many years ago. Like a woman put a football up her butt. It wasn't a full-size football. It was like the... Tom Brady ones that are half deflated? The third-size ones.
Okay, so it was like a children's Nerf football.
Yeah, but she had it up there, and I think this is when I worked at NTS with that guy that had all the porn in there. Oh. He showed me the video clip, and she's like shitting out a football.
It'd be funny if it was one of those Nerf ones with the little whistle things in them, so that when you throw them, they go. So when she farts, it makes that sound as it's coming out of her. That would be funny to me, but it just boggles my mind that still we have people that are trying to ham-fist this outrage. And even worse is there's somebody somewhere in a studio or in an office that is thinking, well, they're right. We need to do this. That is going to cave the public pressure to fucking clean everything up because you're afraid that they're going to take their dollars elsewhere. Well, guess what? You'll make it up in volume. If you make shit that's true to the source material instead of this coddled, whiny fucking soy boy bullshit that's all PC'd up for everything, You'll make your money off of that. Who cares if those people don't come to your movie or watch your show?
You can't please everybody, so don't even bother doing it.
Do you think Stanley Kubrick was worried about offending people when he fucking made A Clockwork Orange?
No.
Fuck no. He was making art. Weird, fucked up art.
Definitely weird, fucked up art.
Yeah. So
I've never even seen the whole movie, but I saw enough of it to be like, holy shit.
Yeah, dude. So it just like the whole thing, and I don't want to get into a whole side tangent about Roseanne Barr and the tweet she sent that she claimed she was on Ambien and she didn't really mean it to be racist. And she didn't even know that the chick that she talked shit about was black. And then it got her fucking show canceled.
Was the chick actually black?
Yeah, like barely. She's like a quarter black.
I was going to say, was it that Rachel Dolezal chick that was actually white but pretended she was black for many
No,
years?
it's not Rachel Dolezal. She's got a new name, by the way. She had to change her whole identity because her life was miserable. But the chick that she made the fucking comment about, Roseanne Barr, she said, blah, 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 this or that or the other. So basically, it was Valerie Jarrett, an African-American woman who was a senior advisor to Obama throughout his presidency. So the tweet read, Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby equals VJ.
Victory Japan?
Yeah, no. This Valerie Jarrett chick.
Oh.
So what I took away from that is she thought the mentality of this people rising up and taking over and forcing everybody that was on the other side beforehand into a form of like slavery or servitude. You know, like the left is rising up and basically enslaving the right with its ideals, because that's what's going on in this country, is a war on conservative mindsets. Mm-hmm. Would you not agree?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So that's what I believe she meant with that comment. But anyway, so the chick ended up being part black. ABC had a lead at the studio, their entertainment president, Channing Dungey. She's black. Fired her, fucking canceled the Roseanne reboot show. It was one of their highest rated shows, mind you, last fall.
Yeah, it was. It people were really looking forward to it. It was doing very well. And then, yeah, I mean, part of it is maybe you need to pay attention to what you say before you say it kind of thing.
Well, this is like old people don't belong on Twitter. Really? They don't? Because their ideals.
They don't
like,
censor.
Everybody's got a relative that fucking talks about the world like it's still 30 years ago, and they don't filter themselves.
I know a lot of people like that.
And then you give them social media, a platform to reach the entire world? What the fuck? That's like giving a chimp a handgun. And expecting him to not blow his brains out trying to suck it like it's a goddamn gray banana. So with the Roseanne thing, they immediately pulled the trigger on canceling the show, which people are like, what the fuck? What about the rest of the cast and all the crew members? Fucking fire her, fine, whatever. And then there was backlash against ABC, who had to immediately backpedal, obviously. And then they go, no, we're going to cancel Roseanne. We're going to work out a deal so she doesn't get any money from the show anymore. And we're going to continue on the show with everybody else, cast and crew. And we'll call it The Connors now, because it's about the family, really.
And didn't it already get canceled?
No.
No?
I don't think it's a bad show. I think it's actually pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Roseanne was my favorite sitcom of all time. I really like their blue-collar aesthetic. It made sense to me.
No, I heard that it wasn't doing as well as the original.
Well, of course not. Because there's a whole slew of people boycotting, like, well, they got rid of Roseanne over one tweet, and they took away too much, and fuck ABC, I'm not going to watch the show, I hope the Connors get canceled. Well, if you were a fan of the show, and you're so offended they got rid of Roseanne, wouldn't you want everybody else to succeed? Like, ABC did right by giving them another show, continuing the characters, keeping these jobs going.
Yeah. So,
once again, here we have people trying to sanitize something and PC it up. Yeah, it was an ill-advised tweet by an old person who has no business being on a fucking phone at that time of night. Ambien or not, whatever. And South Park lampooned the shit out of this with Mr. Hanky, which was pretty funny in the current season. And anyways, yeah, just this outrage. They had to be right away to fucking cancel the show, and look at how PC we are. Look at how morally upstanding we are by getting rid of her. Because if they didn't do something, they were afraid that, the world would end tomorrow. And ABC's a Disney-owned company, so, they're not going to put up with that shit. Because Disney has never, ever in history been affiliated with people that are backwards-minded, bigoted, or against certain cultures or colors of people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right, because all those fucking anti-Semitism jokes about Walt Disney just fell out of thin air. So Red Dead Redemption's the latest link in the chain of people trying to force our minds into this fucking compartmentalized box of sanitary gel horse shit.
Yeah. And the only way to really fight it is to isolate these people and murder them.
Right.
Just kidding.
That's the best way to fix it, is to take all these people and round them up and throw them into a goddamn gorge
how do you
and pour
combat
gas
stuff
on
like that? Because people like that, the far left leaning, they're charged at schools. A lot of the teachers are liberals. I mean, you look at college professors, all the articles about them, about the shit they're doing. They're limiting free speech because they don't want opposing views in their classrooms, and anyone that does gets chastised or failed. And it's kind of probably a little bit, maybe not to that extreme in younger schools, because you're trying to indoctrinate these children into this way of thinking, and it's not a natural way of thinking. I'm sorry. If you want to do a history piece, it has to be historically accurate. Otherwise, how are people going to freaking learn anything?
Yeah, like, I don't think my kids necessarily need to know the truth about Christopher Columbus yet, because they're in elementary school.
Yeah. But
there's a reason that they come home, they're like, oh, we learned about Columbus Day. I'm like, great, I don't want to talk about that. Why? Because Columbus is a terrible person. What do you mean? 3 words for you. Native American genocide. What? You'll figure it out someday. That's why we have Heritage Day.
Or Indigenous Peoples Day.
Right, but they still fucking portray Columbus as this fucking hero in some of the schools they talk about him. You can't not talk about that Columbus came to America, but stop fucking say he found America.
He didn't.
He didn't discover shit.
That's why it's not called Columbuso.
Well, it's named after Amerigo Vespucci.
But if you want to go further back, the Vikings found it.
Right. And I also only know that because of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, the game show on PBS when I was a tween.
See, I just learned it because I was watching documentaries.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So Red Dead Redemption 2, great. Sorry that the ladies get treated like shit, but I don't see anybody getting all pissed off about a cut-up whore in Unforgiven.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking A, right? That won a goddamn Oscar.
The whole movie was about revenge for that.
Am I mistaken? Was that not the best picture that year?
I don't know, but I remember going to see it in theaters with my buddy and his parents, and I was kind of blown away by the movie.
Unforgiven won 4 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Director for Clint Eastwood, and Best Supporting Actor for Gene Hackman. Boom. Cut up whore. Motherfucking Best Picture. Who's your daddy? 65th Academy Awards.
1991.
91. Suck a dick. Because they were not going to give it to Wayne's World.
We're not worthy! I can stand by that one. I didn't like Wayne's World until I got older.
When you were old enough to think about Tia Carrera when you're kneeling on the edge of your bed, jacking off onto a towel on top of the bedspread. God damn, I'm good!
Fuck you.
Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It podcast show. For the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann.
I'm number 1 fan Tim.
And that's the end.